we all know what OnlyFans is, and we all know what Christianity is, but some OnlyFans stars have been claiming to be devout Christians. Now, I find this interesting because it seems like an oxymoron. It just doesn't seem to fit, and other people on the internet seems upset about this. I felt it merited discussion, and that is our first topic.
Thank you, Don. I would also like to just echo for the audience, I am not a connoisseur of these internet resources. I have seen these types of internet resources in my earlier life, but I have not been and seen porn in I don't even know how many years, many, many years. And I was a little shocked when you sent over the title because someone who does kind of identify as a Christian, it is a head scratcher for me because there are, I don't know, literally dozens of kind of direct proclamations against certain types of behavior. And I think that this lands squarely in the not a great idea, probably should not be doing that category.
Well, and I don't identify that way either, but it was still a head scratcher for me as well. So
yes.
Here's what I was thinking. There's a lot of ways to approach this. Maybe we start with the concrete example, the specific person in question,
Okay.
and then I like to think analogously. I'll come up with I have a good example to compare this to. That's not in the U.S. It's a little different, but we can maybe analyze it from that angle. And then I know Bredrick loves to reason from first principles, so
I will share my screen.
You have to take that approach.
So we are now on a theindependent.com article, and the title says, Christian OnlyFans model who claims to have made $43 million says, quote, the Lord's very forgiving. And then the undertitle says, Sophie Rain claims her highest only paying fan subscriber has sent her $5 million in the last year. Okay, we see some pictures of her. I don't know. Honest take, she's cute, but this is nothing that I would pay money to see on the internet. We're just kind of going down. The Lord is very forgiving, and he put me on here. He put me on earth for a reason, and I'm just living every day, she told the outlet. If this wasn't meant for me, I wouldn't be here right now. Fascinating. Okay. There's so many ads on here.
Here's my question.
Yes.
Yeah, this article is mostly ads. Really, the headline and the picture is all we need for people who are listening. Maybe we can post the link on wherever we've posted this. Let's say I'm a stranger, and this doesn't surprise me at all. No. The thing that we brought this up because this seems very strange to us. Bredrick, let's say I'm a passerby, and you tell me this, and I'm just like, oh, that seems totally normal. What would you say to me in reply?
I don't know, man. I don't even know where to go with this because I think that all this stuff is. I'll just go out and say that I don't have a problem with the moral judgment here. I think OnlyFans is bad. I think it is bad for the overwhelming majority of the people posting content on here, which are women. I think it's bad for them. I think they're objectifying themselves for money in a dehumanizing way that is not good for them. I think they are building up these like false relationships, and I'll use that in quotes, relationships with the mostly dudes. Like I think it's like 99% or 98% of the people that consume this content are like dudes. I think it's bad for them. I don't think you should be going and getting your sexual gratifications through online pseudo relationships. I think you should get them with real people.
Right. The parasocial aspect is well established, but I'm talking more about the integration between the OnlyFans and the publicly professed Christianity.
Oh,
that's the thing I think that people find bizarre. And so if I thought that was totally normal, how would you convince me that it seems strange?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I would look at the history of the term Christianity and people who identified with that term, basically up until, I don't know, 1998. Like there was a lot of moral panic in the United States up through the 90s. And then I think basically when Bill Clinton had his little escapade with Monica Lewinsky, I think a lot of this stuff just was like, all right, it's just out in the open now. Everybody does all this crazy stuff. But at least outwardly, Christianity was associated with kind of a moral viewpoint of the world that was much more suspect of unbridled sexual desire. How about that?
Of sex work.
Not even sex work, of sexual desire. Like,
right.
In general, it was prudence, and I mean, there's a lot of writing in the New Testament of like one man should have one wife. The early Christian church was pushing against a lot of the like kind of orgy culture of the Roman Empire that they were kind of embedded in. That was like a big thing. They even discussed that in the Bible, like literally that exact topic. And the leadership was like, this is a bad thing. This is not a good thing. So I would start there, just looking at what they actually claim to believe.
And if you look at the American Protestantism specifically, my understanding is most of like the grassroots morality movements, like the temperance movement to ban alcohol is maybe the best example, was very driven by religion. That's my understanding, that like the leaders of the temperance movement were like tightly coupled to Christian organizations. I mean,
I think it was
Rockefeller
Baptists mostly. Yeah.
I mean, Rockefeller was a teetotaler, and I think he financed a lot of these temperance movements. Regardless,
I think it was that, but I think there was a second component to it, and it was the actual real implications of people like alcoholism. Like, it was, you've mentioned on the program before, like people still do not drink as much as they did before Prohibition. And so I think that there were very real observable effects in society. Why is that relevant here? Because I can tell you right now, there are a bunch of people who use these services who have completely messed up their personal relationships. Their whole brain chemistry is all effed. They can't get aroused anymore because they're so used to seeing this girl and in these totally fictitious situations. Like, no, I think it's bad all the way down. But I think it's just to your point, though, it's because that's not what Christians believe. They're against this stuff.
I was thinking about this because it seemed very strange to me at first, but it actually made more sense when I examined in what I consider an analogous scenario in Turkey. I don't know how much you know about Turkey. Do they call it Turkey now? Kind of like how the Czech Republic is now Czechia. I don't know.
Turkey, I don't know, but I'm familiar with the country. Yes, I mean,
Turkey, the country.
Facets, yes,
most of Asia Minor or all of it. I don't know. Turkey, where the Turks are from. Turkey.
Yeah.
Turkey Turkey is considered a Muslim country,
right?
But they have a long, or like 100-year, if not longer, ongoing culture war regarding the hijab, or like Muslim dress, covering your hair, etc. And at this point, it is completely unresolved. Some people think that they're pushing for more of like a fundamentalist Islam, like in Iran, where morality, or Saudi Arabia, where morality police will enforce a certain kind of dress. Other people who also identify as Muslim are like, no, we're going to wear bikinis to the beach. And from my very cursory surface level research, this is completely unresolved in the country. The reason I bring that up is because part of what's fueling this is that I think over half of Turks are not practicing Muslims. They consider themselves cultural Muslims. I remember encountering this phenomenon as well when I was in continental Europe, and many people in Luxembourg that I met described themselves as culturally Catholic, but not practicing Catholic. Are we seeing here a cultural American Protestantism without like a practicing American Protestantism? Is this analogous to that? That's the question I field to you, Brederick. What do you think?
Well, Don, I think you're actually 100% correct. And I think if you actually look at the numbers of people who identify as Christian in the United States, they've absolutely plummeted, right? So they absolutely plummeted in the last several decades. And so the last couple of people who do identify as Christian are probably a large percentage of them are just these cultural Christians. You're right. It's like, I'm a Christian, quote unquote, but I still enjoy watching pornography. And that's just fine with me, you know, versus I think a lot of people, I just know because I'm like kind of tangential to a lot of these Protestant Christian organizations, like pornography is like blowing up the American Christian church right now because there are so many dudes who are like literally addicted to this stuff. And it is completely just causing all sorts of problems. And so that's kind of why I'm just like, this makes no sense. Like, this is not at all a permissible behavior in any like of the moral framework of an actual practicing Christian. So I think you're actually, to get back to your question, your point, that's got to be it. It's got to be it. It's like, I'm a Christian, quote unquote, because I'm grow up in America or something like that. And then that is just how I identify. And oh, by the way, I'm totally cool with OnlyFans.
Well, to retreat for a moment to the question of religion and identity, if you look at a place like Turkey, which has had incredible, let's just say kindly issues with identity regarding the different groups of people that lived there when they were trying to make it a homogenous nation state. They're like, well, we're Muslim and we're Turkish. What that actually means is clearly up for debate, because even when Ataturk, was it Kemal Ataturk, was founding the state, I think they were already, at least at the elite levels, phasing out the hijab. That didn't stop them from exterminating Armenians and kicking out all of the Greek communities that had lived there for thousands of years. I've heard that DNA testing is banned in Turkey because Turks have taken DNA tests and found out they're actually Greek or Armenian. The reason I say that is sometimes this collection of religion and nationality can be more of a cultural marker more than it is like a devout faith, right?
Yeah.
Like American Protestantism, I think can kind of function like that. And it did, especially when there were a lot of Catholic immigrants from Poland and, I don't know, Italy coming to the U.S. in the 1800s. All of these people that were previously just different types of Americans, they're like, well, we're this one kind of American. We are white Christian Protestants, and we are different from them. And they didn't matter what they believed. It was all about some kind of signaling mechanism. It's a little pedantic, but that may be what's going on here.
Well, I think you've said a lot there. And I mean, we can go a couple different directions, because the first thing that actually just came to my mind when you said that was actually, I think that Protestant and Catholic thing goes way further back than even like colonial times in the 1800s. That's like English Civil War. That's like the 30 Years' War back in Europe, right? I mean, so I think we could go down that whole rabbit hole. That's why I love the program with you, Don, because how do we have like some girl showing her breasts on the internet that turns into a discussion about the 30 Years' War in mainland
It's
Europe?
related whether you like it or not.
It's a direct through line, and I think that you're right. But just to get back to this, I think I want to actually just bring something else up. And we've brought up the whole Christian thing here, right? Yeah. I want to also just bring up the elephant in the room on this title. $43 million. $43 million.
It's a lot.
Annual.
What is that? 8 figures? Am I doing my math right? That's 8 figures, man, in 1 year.
It's just banana fruitcake, dude. It's banana fruitcake. And it's like, that is a absurd number. Apparently, it's coming even in the form of just like direct payments. I hope she's claiming all this.
Is this gross or post-taxes?
It must be gross. I mean, she's sharing the biggest number because most Americans don't even understand how taxes work, even though they are allowed to vote. So I'm assuming it's this gross. It's gotta be.
I remember reading in Tsarist Russia, it was so hard to collect taxes. One of the only things they could tax were the vodka distilleries, and so they encouraged mass consumption of vodka. Maybe the growth in OnlyFans is just a way for the government to collect more tax revenue more reliably. Thoughts?
That's fast.
It seems plausible to me.
fascinating. If you work in W-2, you don't even see your money, man. The government takes it right out of your paycheck. They don't even send it to you. There's also taxes that your employer pays directly to the government that if you're self-employed, you have to pay. So I don't think it's a mechanism of tax collection. I like the thought. I think that this is just yet another sign of cultural decay, and the fact that, like, why don't I use OnlyFans? It's because, well, one, the product doesn't appeal to me. I'm not interested in watching some girl dance on the internet. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in having real relationships with real women that have physical components to them that kind of satisfy my urges, let's say, towards this particular thing. But I can see you just shaking your head over there. What do you have to say, Don?
No, I say what you were going to say, but what I was going to say was just a total. There was no point in saying it. So please continue.
No, but I'm just saying, so it's kind of like, all right, like, why is that not happening? And it's like, I think it's not happening for a number of different reasons, but I think that this is actually just a sign of something deeply wrong in our society and in our culture. Sure. Has pornography always been a thing? Yeah. Has prostitution always been a thing? Of course, right? But to the magnitude that it is, and to just kind of the like, oh, whatever, like, I even know, not personally, no one in my direct circle, but there are people in my secondary circle who are women who have OnlyFans. And it's like they're making money on these things, like meaningful money, like on the order of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year, just doing this kind of thing. And it's like boudoir shoot type stuff, not even having sex on the internet. And it's just kind of like, I find it disgusting and degrading to them because I appreciate who they are as women. And I think that a downplay to this is insanity and a sign of just something deeply wrong in relationship formation.
Well, I have two thoughts.
Yeah.
Or is it three thoughts? Let me go through them and I'll see how many I have. One,
good.
Parasocial relationships are the new thing, Brederick. Get with the times. If you're not parasocial, are you even here in the 21st century?
Probably
I'm
not.
trying to hang out with people in person. No, dude, you need to have parasocial relationships. If you're not, you need to parasocial max. Second thing, what if you have to, or go live with the Amish. The Amish are cool. Yes. They make great cakes.
They do. We've discussed those on the program before.
Yes, they are really good cakes. Second thing, what if, so we have secular Muslims in Turkey.
Yes.
And I'm sure in other parts of the world. We have secular Jews, right? I was just reading
many such cases.
One of Richard Feynman's books. He was talking about being an atheist but still going to temple. Secular Jews. We have secular Catholics. Now this is the rise of the secular Protestant Christian, right? They're like, this is my culture, but the ties to the rigid, so maybe it's more benign. And this is not saying that parasocial relationships are bad, because I think all of that stuff coming from the internet has a negative effect. I'm talking more about the cultural element of this, where you have an increase in pornography consumption among this Protestant American or Christian, non-denominational Christian identifying demographic. Maybe it's just a movement towards what you could call secular Protestant American, secular non-denominational Christianity. There, I don't know if anyone on the internet has ever said that term. If I'm the first to coin it, if the program is the first to coin it, please give us accolades. If not, tell us who else said it so we can argue with them and claim that we did it first. I have one more thought, unless you want to respond.
No,
I think you should respond first, and then I'll give my final thought.
Okay, the whole parasocial thing, I think for a certain group of people on the internet, that's exactly where they should be, and they're going to be very, very happy and fulfilled with that. I think for the vast majority of people in society, that's going to result in alcoholism, porn addiction, and ultimately suicide. I think we need real relationships with real people. I just think that. Christian culturally only, I mean, dude, I think you're onto something. This is, I guess, something that I've been dancing around in my head, kind of like it's just right there, but I haven't ever actually heard it put into words like that. I think you're right. I think it's just a bunch of folks who identify as Christians. They're not Christians. They're just that strata of Americana, and they're into OnlyFans now, and that makes sense. So I think you're right, man. Bring us home on this one. What's your third?
I have
what's
a
your
final
third point?
thought. So
Oh no.
the first was kind of benign. This is just a cultural shift to, like the secular Muslims, the secular Jews. This is secular Catholics. This is just secular American non-denominational Christians.
Yes.
What if this is and these things are not mutually exclusive. What if this is a very intentional marketing ploy, and these OnlyFans creators have determined what is the most untapped market and how can we get at it? That's a little more sinister. It's a little less benign, but that may be what's going on here.
That's 100% it, actually. Dang it, Don. I hate this when you always come up with like just such just truthful cutting, just right to the core, like the tip of the spear. I think this is it, man. I think this is it, actually. I think you're right. Because as I mentioned earlier, I know for like sociologically, I know that these services are basically destroying this like non-denominational culture, Christian culture in the United States. I just know that. And you can look at the data. All these guys are addicted to porn. They're all cheating on their wives by watching porn all the time and doing whatever they're doing. I mean, these guys, I think what's crazy about this, dude, is they actually chat with these girls. Like they have relationships. And I use that very loosely. I'm not going to get into this whole thing about how I know most of these guys are talking to AI bots or dudes in India, right? But they think they're talking to this girl. I'm not going to even get into that. But I think you're right, because there is this part of like, oh, like I don't watch like, I don't know, Roxy or whatever the like porn name is. I don't watch Roxy. Like she's a bad girl. I watch, what was this woman's name? Sophie. I watch Sophie Rain. Like she just dances, and like sometimes she'll just nip slip for us. But like she's more like my kind of girl. You know what I mean? And it's kind of this like touching on that. I shouldn't probably be doing this, but I'm really into it. And so like this girl, like she's kind of like, oh, she's like not really into it either, but like I think you're right. I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, I think we've said enough about that.
It's the first word in the headline. Christian OnlyFans, wow.
If we allocate too much time to this, someone is going to put that Shakespeare quote in the comments. Methinks they doth protest too much. We need to move to our next topic quick.